From Citizen TV, this is Friday Night with Lillian Mooney.
Hello there and a very good evening to you. It's such a pleasure to have you with us tonight, a very rainy evening in Nairobi. I trust you're keeping yourselves safe wherever you're watching us from here in Nairobi and indeed the rest of the country and beyond. Tonight, hundreds of Kenyans living with HIV will be reporting on how they were participating in a march in Nairobi demanding inclusion in the new Social Health Authority medical cover. Details around that will be on Friday night, plus much more. Let's take a look at stories making headlines tonight.
$7.2 billion of the amount claimed by the unions was already paid through the normal annual salary increments, leaving only a figure of $624 million as outstanding.
Why can't also they call the union technical team? We sit down with them, they show us how they arrived at 624. They don't want that meeting because they know they are wrong.
No agreement in sight. Lecturers slum government after Education CS Ogamba claims they are owed 624 million shillings and not 7.9 billion shillings.
Many people may want to spend a lot of time in hotels and boardrooms discussing theories. There is no president you will make in a boardroom.
We will have differences of opinions, then arguments, then we will sit around the table and call each other together, speak to each other as brothers and sisters, resolve them.
Opposition unity, rough road. Former DP Gachagua throws jibe at Matiang'i and teams up with Kalonzo and Wamalwa as Matiang'i meets Jubilee leaders in Nakuru. Persons living with HIV and AIDS hold march in Nairobi seeking medical cover under the Social Health Authority cover. Ready for national examinations. First grade 9 cohort and a CBC among 3.4 million learners to sit this year's exams. Good evening. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Wilson Ochuka. Friday night starts now, and resolution of the ongoing lecturers' strike appears to be slipping further away after Education CS Migos Ogamba said the lecturers were owed 624 million shillings and not the 7.9 billion shillings they claimed was due. CS Ogamba said the striking dons should engage the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to arrive at the figure the government is supposed to pay. The lecturers, in a heated rejoinder, said they will not budge, emphasizing that they would be unyielding in their demands and brushing off the Education CS. Citizen TV's Ben Kirui on this latest turn of events.
The third week of the nationwide lecturer strike with no sign of resolution. The Ministry of Education says that the numbers are different and quite far apart. The disagreement is over how much the government still owes lecturers from the 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreement. The ministry says SRC has advised that most of the money demanded has been paid. Lecturers reject the ministry's position totally.
$7.2 billion of the amount claimed by the unions was already paid through the normal annual salary increments, leaving only a figure of 624 million as outstanding.
Why can't also they call the union technical team? We sit down with them, they show us how they arrived at 624. They don't want that meeting because they know they are wrong.
The ministry maintains that most of the obligations were cleared in 3 tranches. 4.3 billion shillings disbursed for the period October 2024 to June 2025. 2.73 billion shillings allocated in the 2025-2026 financial year. And another 2.3 billion shillings planned for the 2026-2027 to be paid as scheduled in the coming year.
You cannot claim that you are paid automatic annual increment and you don't have evidence to show. If University X is claiming that they paid this automatic annual increment amounting to 7.2 billion, we want evidence. But you can't come with cooked up figures and you want us to believe.
Because it is very clear from what was the judgment of the court, what was paid, and what is the balance is very clear.
The Dons are saying new developments informed by the government's latest position are unlikely to unlock the deadlock and have them return to class. The strike has disrupted learning in public universities, with thousands of students stranded and threatening to join the strike if the impasse persists. Lecturers are not only demanding the immediate settlement of the alleged 7.9 billion shillings arrears, but are also pushing for the opening of fresh negotiations on the 2025-2029 CBA. As the back and forth continues, many may ask, how did our so-called centers of excellence turn into theaters of industrial warfare? What is the fate of learners who bear the brunt of unending disputes they have no hand in? And most importantly, what do employers both locally and globally think of the quality of graduates from such a broken system? Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Hundreds of Kenyans living with HIV were among participants in a march in Nairobi demanding inclusion in the new Social Health Authority medical cover. The march by the National Empowerment Network of People Living with HIV/AIDS in Kenya, NEFAC, ended with a presentation of a petition to the National Syndemic Disease Control Council, NSDCC, and the Ministry of Health headquarters. The petition made more urgent by the withdrawal of billions of shillings in funding for HIV and AIDS care by the new U.S. administration.
The legacy of aid cuts colluding with local gaps in healthcare financing. Here, they had no choice but to raise their voices in the streets, hoping someone would listen. From the NASCOP building to Afya House, the chants echoed. This, the rallying call of nearly 1.4 million Kenyans living with HIV.
Before you are put on ARVs, you need to be tested. Testing has collapsed in this country and you can try in any facility. So these days, because there is no money from Global Fund and PEPFAR, for those who go to pick their ARVs, they are told that you go to the pay private sector in the labs, and these people don't have money.
They say they feel sidelined by the Social Health Authority.
So these people are suffering. All these people you see here from NEFAC are people living with HIV, some are suffering from TB, and they are registered with SHA. But SHA is not helping.
They admit that many living with HIV are facing numerous challenges, and the lack of these essential tests poses a grave danger to their lives.
Make lab tests and diagnostic free for people living with HIV as part of care. Creatinine, liver function, and drug-resistant testing. Those are some of the things that we don't get and we are demanding to have because of the side effects of the drugs that we have.
Their grievances are many and urgent. Their struggles are a mark of what is a disturbing healthcare gap that they want addressed urgently. And so they have presented their demands to the National Syndemic Diseases Control Council.
We have come across data purporting to give the viral load status between March and August 2025, whereas during that time, there were no laboratory services. Provide documentation on HIV-sensitive social protection to enable vulnerable PRO-HIV benefit from cash transfer schemes. For example, we now have hunger and starvation for PRO-HIV in Marsabit County, and they should benefit from social protection scheme.
They say the government, through the Ministry of Health, only provides ARVs to reduce the impact of HIV.
But there are laboratory tests, creatinine tests. We have people who have kidney problems, people who have non-communicable diseases, and lab has not been working for the last 3 months ever U.S. government post their affair. So viral load is not being done.
They want the government to listen and respond to the memorandum they submitted to the Ministry of Health, pointing out that the situation is dire. Lulu Hassan for Citizen Weekend.
Right, and as you ponder on that, you will soon be able to access emergency care services for free under the Social Health Authority. SHA CEO Dr. Mercy Mwangangi has announced plans by the authority to establish a national ambulance dispatch center that will coordinate emergency response. According to Dr. Mwangangi, individuals will call a designated number, enabling the identification of their location for prompt ambulance dispatch. SHA will cover 4,500 shillings for evacuation to an emergency facility within 25 kilometers and pay for services received within the first 24 hours for all Kenyans, regardless of whether they are registered under SHA or not.
Is free, conducted by government. Yes, the first 24 hours are free for you as a Kenyan. However, after 24 hours, there will be two pathways you follow. If you are a SHIF paid-up member, SHIF will kick in. If you are not a SHIF paid-up member, you will have to get into your pocket and pay cash for services after 24 hours.
I think it's a significant milestone that will see a significant reduction in all the health metrics that we all normally measure, things like maternal mortality, under 5 deaths, and even just road traffic crash deaths. We'll see a significant drop in the numbers.
And some good news for youth startups. The government has announced a 5 billion shillings youth business startup grant, Nyota, targeting a total of 820,000 youth countrywide. President William Ruto, who presented the details of the new fund to principal secretaries at State House, Nairobi, said the initial batch will see each of the 101,500 youth receive 50,000 shillings as business support grant aimed at addressing youth unemployment in the country. And as Seth Olale reports, the head of state also gazetted the appointments of the new registrar of political parties and several envoys.
Good morning, everybody.
In a meeting with principal secretaries at State House Nairobi, President William Ruto rolled out his latest financial economic stimulus intervention targeting the youth. The 5 billion shillings National Youth Opportunities Towards Advancement, NOTA, is a grant partnership between the government and the World Bank, targeting 100,000 young people across the country.
This is coming as a result of us being deliberate about doing something about employment, empowerment, and engagement with young people.
We are targeting on improving youth employability, expanding employment opportunities, supporting youth saving, strengthening youth employment system, capacity and project management.
A total of 70 group beneficiaries will be drawn from each of the country's 1,450 wards. The head of state announcing that each successful applicant will receive 50,000 shillings grant to start their entrepreneurial ventures. Additionally, the grant will involve 90,000 youth who will be trained on job experience, with 20,000 others undergoing a recognition of prior learning exercise. Under the new initiative, 600,000 youth will be empowered on accessing government procurement opportunities.
We have made a deliberate program, unlike before, to look out for opportunities for us to place young people in places where they can either get experience, they can get training, they can get on-job experience as we are talking.
We are enhancing youth entrepreneurs' access to market through digital, AGPO and EGP training, and then provision of e-commerce platform.
The president also appointed John Cox Lorionoko as registrar of political parties for a term of 6 years. In a Gazette notice dated 3rd October 2025, the head of state similarly appointed Agatha Wanjiku Wahome to be an assistant registrar of political parties for a term of 6 years. Clarice Award Oganga has been appointed the chairperson of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights for a term of 6 years. The president also appointed 9 high commissioners, ambassadors, and consul generals to Kenya's foreign missions. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
Politics now, and cracks in the united opposition deepened today as former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua took a swipe at some unnamed presidential aspirants whom he says want to unseat President William Ruto through hotel and boardroom meetings, only posting their activities on social media. The opposition team, which later held a rally in Kajiado County, opposed the privatization of Kenya Pipeline Company, maintaining their resolve to make President William Ruto a one-term president. Emmanuel Tor reports.
Opposition leaders Friday toured Basil Kajiado Central Constituency, Kajiado County, as they continued preaching their one-term gospel. The team, led by the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, promising to unseat President William Ruto in the 2027 general election.
Tumesikizana. Kasongo ni wapi? Kasongo. 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 Leo hii mukienda hapa kwa polling station mupate sura ya William Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua, mutapiana ni kura.
The leaders also rejecting the proposed privatization of Kenya Pipeline Company, which is currently before the National Assembly.
Any possible investor who wants to pursue expropriation of public property, and they must know that once we take over, tutafutilia mbali hayo makandarasi ya wizi ya mali ya umma. Wamejaribu kuiba KICC, tumeenda kotini, tumezuia. Wamejaribu kuiba KETRACO, hii moto ya Kenya, tumeenda kotini, tumezuia. Sasa unataka kuiba mashamba ya Wamasai. Akitoka Bell Street, kotini, Kamiti. Harape!
Sarah. Earlier, the DCP party leader had thrown a jibe at some presidential hopefuls who he accused of only being active on social media.
Ati unafikiri ukiweka picha ya mtu ate kwa social media he can be president? Ati unaweka picha the 6th, that cannot make you president. You must go out there and mobilize numbers. Many people may want to spend a lot of time in hotels and boardrooms discussing theories. There is no president you'll make in a boardroom.
In Nakuru County, former Interior CS Dr. Fred Matiang'i, who has also set his eyes on the 2027 presidency, admitted to the fissures in the opposition camp.
And from time to time, we will have differences of opinions, then arguments, then we will sit around the table and call each other together.
Matiang'i, however, downplayed the differences which have escalated in the past week.
The arguments you see are actually good if you look at them from a positive point of view. Just imagine we were in a country where the thinking of one person rules the day and is the way everyone goes.
Emmanuel Tor, Citizen TV.
Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has called on Kenyans to take advantage of the continuous voter registration and enlist as voters. While on a tour of Murang'a and Kilifi counties, Kindiki told the youth that they must arm themselves with voting rights to reject bad leaders at the ballot. Political affairs reporter Stephen Letor reports.
The Deputy President was on an empowerment drive in Kangema and Ganze in Murang'a and Kilifi counties respectively. Paid a visit to the Ganze IEBC offices where voter registration is ongoing. Kindiki called on all who are eligible to vote and have not done so to visit IEBC offices in their constituencies and register as voters.
Nawasihi kitambulisho na kura ndio ngao yako na ndio inakusaidia kama silaha ya kuchagua kiongozi ambao unamtaka na kuondoa mwenye hutaki.
Kindiki said the government will ensure the IEBC voter listing operations continue without financial hiccups and encourage the youth to register in large numbers.
Kitambulisho ndio bunduki yako na kura ndio risasi yako ya kupigana na uongozi mbaya na kuhakikisha umechagua viongozi ambao wanajali maslahi yako.
Kindiki accused the opposition of misleading Kenyans in their criticism of government projects.
We must be corrected with facts, not through lies, not through misinterpretation, not through telling people things that are wrong.
Tunachagua serikali ili ibadili maisha yetu. Mahali hatukuwa na soko, tupate soko. Mahali hatukuwa na barabara ya rami, tupate barabara ya rami.
In Busia and Homa Bay counties, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula led broad-based MPs in rallying unregistered Kenyans to enlist as voters.
Sasa wale ambao hamna vipande, hata ukiwa mama kutoka ng'ambo, kama umeolewa na Mkenya, wewe ni Mkenya. Uende uchukue kipande yako. Uende ujiandikishe kupiga kura, uweze kuchezea nafasi yako.
Uwezi ondoa ukabila na wachanja vile nabii amesema. Inapitia kwa njia ya kupiga kura. Serikali imefungua ama watu ya IBC wamefungua, nyinyi Wateso mjiandikishe, Wakenya mjiandikishe.
Juzi tumeona president mstaafu Uhuru Kenyatta anadanganya Wakenya, yeye aliacha hii. Uhuru aliacha Kenya kama inateseka na bei ya vyakula ikiwa wapi?
Citizen TV.
Right, and officials from the Uganda High Commission today refused to officially receive a petition seeking the release of Kenya's Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo from activists from the Free Kenya and 6.25 movements. The letter, as presented today in Nairobi by activists, demanded immediate confirmation of Njagi and Oyo's location, written confirmation of legal charges, if any, assurance of legal presentation, and abductees' communication with their families, among others. The petition's authors have denounced the silence of the Kenyan government on the matter, demanding immediate action towards resolution. They say they will not relent until justice is served.
This action is not an act of hostility, but a call of accountability, justice, and respect for human rights. As young people committed to democracy, we believe silence in the face of injustice is complicity. By now we trust the office, but we want the immediate release of Comrade Bob Njagi and Comrade Nicholas Oyo.
So we tell the Kenyan government that this issue must be handled by them. We are not the ones who should be here saying that free the two Kenyans. It is the Minister for Foreign Affairs and also the ambassador of Kenya in Uganda should be taking action while in Uganda.
So we'll exhaust all mechanisms. If it means we'll go to the International Court of Justice to have the two comrades released.
The National Examinations Council will be managing more than 3.4 million learners this year through national examination and assessments, including Form 4 candidates and the first grade 9 cohort, marking a major milestone in competency-based education. NEC CEO Dr. David Njengere has warned Kenyans against falling victim to fake question papers leakage. And according to Njengere, security and transparency remain top priorities, and the council will continue with the double collection of exam papers to address early exposure. NEC has installed 25 new storage containers to improve efficiency and reduce cost from centers to schools. Education Cabinet Secretary Migos Ogamba said the verification of schools report will be out in 10 days.
Last year, we introduced personalization of the KCSE candidate question papers. This process will continue this year because through this process, as examiners are marking the candidates' scripts, they don't have access to the name of the candidate, they don't even have access to the index number of the candidate, and therefore the bias is completely eliminated.
Thus far, a total of 37,128 schools across junior, primary, senior school, and special needs education facilities have been verified. The total number of learners as of yesterday that these schools contain is 8,820,703.
Time for us to take a very short break. Friday Night returns in just a bit. Stay with us. Welcome back to Friday Night. Hundreds of residents from Kibiko in Kajiado County staged protests and blocked roads outside the Ngong Law Courts, demanding the release of 2 men arrested in connection with the ongoing land dispute. The 2, Richard Karino and Nanta Ole Kipolonka, were arraigned in court, facing charges of arson and causing disturbance during clashes between rival groups claiming ownership of the contested Kibiko land. The protesters marched in rage, camping for hours outside the court's gate to express their displeasure with what they claimed to be wrongful arrest of 2 individuals in connection with the Kibiko land dispute. The suspects, who were arraigned virtually, were granted a cash bail.
Saa 4 ya usiku na askari walikuwa hapo usiku mchana wote. Sijui ni nini ilifanyika, wakakumbuka kwamba wanastahili kushika katika usiku, na baada hiyo wakawaleta wao Ngong, na masaa ya saa 6 kulingana na saa 8 ya usiku wakafanywa transfer, wakapelekwa Rongai. Kulingana na sisi, hii ni dhuluma. Hii ni dhuluma.
We have been intimidated for a long time. Since 1963 on independence time. I, as Flora, am standing here proudly to say I do not have land. And I do repeat, so that if the Monique team has sent somebody to me to bring the title deed to my house and I've never seen, let them come and tell me where it is.
Na ile kitu mnataka, si justice?
Yes.
Si justice?
Yes.
Na ile kitu muhimu zaidi na ambaye ilifanya hata watu washike. Wakati mko kule, wacheni kupigana. Ambieni vijana, hii mambo hata kama kuna mambo ambayo iko kotini, mambo ya shamba, si kuna vile mnaiaddress, na nimeona mko na wakili. Hakuna haja ya usiku unapigana, unachoma gari ya mtu, unachoma boma ya mtu. Hakuna haja, hiyo haisaidii.
And the government has announced a plan to distribute 1 million national ID cards to Kenyans over the next year. During his visit to the registration offices in Nairobi, where new machines capable of printing 16,000 ID cards per day were displayed, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen stated that over 400,000 ID cards will be sent to chiefs in various regions to help distribute them to citizens and resolve the backlog of uncollected IDs. Murkomen also emphasized that the government is committed to ensuring transparency in the delivery of public services. First-time applicants for ID cards are not required to pay any fees.
Kwa mwaka moja ujao tutasajili watu zaidi ya milioni 1. Tunataka kwa rai haswa vijana ambao wamefikia miaka ya 18 kwamba sasa hii ni nafasi yenu, mpate vitambulisho vyenu ndio uweze kujiunga katika shughuli ya ujenzi wa taifa na kujishughulikia kimaisha. Ukipata Mkenya yoyote, ofisa yoyote, kama ni chifu, kama ni clerks wetu ambao wanaitisha pesa kwa wananchi, hiyo ni ufisadi na tutachukulia hatua ya kisheria na watafutwa kazi. Kama unataka ID mara ya kwanza, hakuna kulipishwa, lakini kama ulipoteza ID yako unafaa kulipa. We agreed with the chiefs that we will create a program where they will directly take the IDs to their villages and to their communities. And I want to ask Kenyans to please collect the IDs. We have 400,000 uncollected IDs.
Days after the government extended an olive branch to armed bandits in the Kerio Valley, which for many years has witnessed inter-community bandit attacks leading to a known number of deaths, 3 reformed bandits from Kerio Valley returned 13 rifles in line with the amnesty as they embark on seeking an alternative means of livelihood. The trio, Meshach Kibor, Hassa Ruto and Franson Terus, shared their journey in Kerio Valley up to the point that they saw the light and changed their ways. Citizen TV's Crispin Otieno with that report.
The area for many years has been synonymous with insecurity, cattle rustling and displacement. Barely a month after senior security officials rallied communities around Kerio to take advantage of amnesty and return illegal firearms.
Sisi watatu,
Hassa Ruto, Franson Tarus and Meshach Kibor decided to stop taking part in banditry and adopt legal ways of earning an income. Citizen TV caught up with them in Tot, one of the areas that has been disturbed for many years. This house in ruins once hosted Hassa and his family before he escaped death by a whisker. A fierce shootout between him and security officers illustrated by the door's current state. After a thorough introspection, the three made a bold step.
Nikaenda hadi kwa Tarus, nikaongea na yeye, nikaambia we, ni shemeji wangu, tujipelekane ama tujishoot. Tukaita Ruta. Ruta akakuja, tukasema tujishoot wote, hii maisha iishe. Ruta akaamua akasema kuliko tukufe wote, wacha nijiriski, nisiporudi njue maisha tena hakuna.
Kaka, baada ya wiki mbili tukasikia sasa asubuhi na mapema tukasikia mlipuko wa risasi pia tena. Jaribu kusikia, kutafuta namba yake hakuna, nikachua tu ni yeye ameendewa. Nikifika pale, jamaa nikipata hayupo tena, nitatupa risasi ngapi? 3. Kufika kule jini sasa, kukata barabara. Nikapata mjamaa, nikapata shangage. Ilikuwa imeandikwa Eva. Nikaona ni yeye. Kuangalia hiyo shanga iko damu. Kuangalia barabara hiyo, jamaa amefurutwa, aliuawa na kufungwa.
They ensured 12 illegal guns were handed to the police after a local religious leader in the area intervened on their behalf to avert the community's wrath.
So ikafika mahali tukajadiliana na marafiki zangu, tukawa 3 wenye tunasikizana. Hapo tukaamua sasa kuliko hii kifo, si hata Mungu anaweza tusikia kweli, serikali watusikie, tupeane hii silaha sote.
The reformed bandits now acts as fishers of men, talking to the rest to surrender their arsenal to the security team as amnesty period draws to a close.
We have so far managed to recover around 200 firearms from the locals. And in fact, the perception from the locals is very good.
So na hawa vijana tangu siku hiyo wamesaidia serikali yetu kwa kueneza mambo ya usalama.
They have taken up farming and other decent jobs, even as they help security team accomplish its disarmament mission in the valley. Crispino TNO, Citizen TV.
How they feel?
Very, very, very commendable. Now, Kenya's largest rice irrigation scheme in Mwea, Kirinyaga County is battling a relentless enemy, invasive golden apple snails. The pests have overrun rice paddies since the year 2020, slashing yields by almost half and leaving farmers desperate. Traditional control methods have failed, but as Emily Chebet reports, science may now offer a lifeline. Kenyan and Israeli researchers are piloting the use of monosex prawns that feed on the snails, promising a double victory for food security and public health.
Joyce Waweranjiru and fellow farmers in Kibimbi within the Mwea irrigation scheme wade through their rice paddies, hands submerged in murky water, a familiar daily routine. For years, rice farming has been their livelihood, but since the invasion of the golden apple snail 5 years ago, everything has changed.
Ukipanda zinakufuata tu, zikikurakura. Kwa hivyo unapanda alafu unang'aliza wakati huo. Kama utang'aliza hiyo maji, yenyewe inaweza kula hata yote.
The golden apple snail native to South America has spread rapidly through Mwea, wiping out nearly half of farmers' harvests. Beyond the financial losses, farmers face health risks as they work barefoot in infested waters.
Sasa ingia ikukate na hiyo kidonda inakaa sana bila kupona. Tena ukienda kulima kama wenye unaona tunalima, unakuta zingine zinakukata mkono. Ukikanyanga na tunaenda bila viatu, jua siingia hapa na viatu ama gumboots, juu kuna kwingine deep sana. Sasa zinakukata. Na zikikukata utakaa sana bila kuingia hapa mpaka hiyo kidonda ipone.
For years, farmers have tried everything, from pesticides to cultural practices to slow the invaders with little success. The most reliable option has been draining paddies for several days before irrigation or paying extra labor to collect the pests by hand and dump them on the dikes. But while these measures offer temporary relief, they are exhausting, costly and never fully wipe out the snails. Now, scientists offer new hope. A pilot project by the Kenya Medical Research Institute and the Israelis Ben Gurion University is testing monosex prawns that feed on the apple snails and also targets snail-spreading bilharzia.
Trying out like molluscicides and pesticides on this, it has not proved to work very well in the farms. And then you saw it's still an environmental hazard and things like those. So we are trying to come up with a more environmentally friendly approach to deal with them so that it's safe, not only to the farmer, to the food that is being produced here, but more importantly, it is a more sustainable way of controlling.
And we are trying to find an appropriate location to have a prawn hatchery that we could test on a small-scale level in order to see that it really works. It will be the first time in the world.
They can eat dozens of them in a few minutes. So we are sure they are very good predators of the snails. The challenge would be to know how to implement it in the field, how it can fit in the rice growing system over here, and where exactly we can use them for bilharzia control.
Scientists believe the snails first entered Kenya as an ornamental species before getting into the environment. To avoid a new invasion, only monosex prawns will be introduced. They feed on the pests but cannot reproduce, living out their circle while eradicating the pests.
These snails, wherever they are native, they are known to cause diseases there. Currently, there are no reported diseases that have been caused, and specifically is eosinophilic meningitis, which is, and also fasciolapsis that is there in maybe South American countries. As a health concern, that's why we are just trying to remain vigilant to see whether probably they have that potential of creating.
Imesatuletea hasara kubwa sana juu yenye hata ukipanda inakula yote na hakuna dawa. Sasa kama ni kusaidiwa, serikali inaweza tusaidia na dawa, tunangeweza furahi juu hii hasara ni kubwa sana.
For farmers in Mwea, this scientific solution offers hope to reclaim their harvests, protect their health, and safeguard Kenya's rice bowl. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV in Mwea.
Wow, and the elderly population in Kenya has received a major boost with the launch of the Aging Studies Institute at Zetech University in partnership with the Kinudhia Wamwangi Foundation to research and provide solutions to challenges facing senior citizens. The institute aims to provide medical camps, aftercare, research and public education, while also promoting healthy aging and stronger policy support for older persons. Kinudhia Wamwangi said the center will forge strong networks with national and county governments to ensure that policies and programs for older persons are well implemented. Zetech University leaders emphasized their capacity to run the center effectively as elderly beneficiaries welcomed free services such as the Lion's Eye Hospital Clinic held during the launch.
The mission is clear. Guided by the dream of the United Nations Decade on Health Aging, this institute will, number one, champion programs for healthy and graceful aging so that old age is not endured but celebrated as a stage of vitality, wisdom, and contribution.
The major conditions that affect the aged in our community is cataracts and, of course, the lifestyle diseases, for example, diabetes. It's of high levels in our community, and for the ones we find here, it will probably be about 10% will have diabetes and high blood pressure. We're going to help them manage the condition, and the ones who are found with cataract and other eye surgeries that require eye surgeries, we shall take them back to Lion's Eye Hospital and we shall offer them the surgeries for free.
We intend to ensure that the Institute of Aging Studies become a reference point for the future of this country, trying to find out how are the Kenyans growing? Why are the old people being killed in some cultures So as we celebrate today, let us remember that aging is not a challenge to overcome, but a journey to embrace. We must embrace aging because we have no choice about it.
Ramogi FM has celebrated its 22nd anniversary in style. Presenters converged at the Ramogi Studios in Nairobi to mark the remarkable milestone. Deputy Head of Radio Ruth Otieno commended loyal listeners for keeping the station at the top since its inception, thanking fans for their unwavering support and promising even more engaging programs in the years ahead. Ramogi FM is among the 14 radio stations under the Royal Media Services stable that continue to inform, educate, and entertain Kenyans across the country.
Say a big thanks to our fans. They've made it possible. Our directors, our programs director, Fred Afune. I want to say a very big thank you for the support, for the guidance, and everything that is given us so that the station can reach here. Tunasema asante sana.
Congratulations, Ramogi FM, for celebrating your 22nd anniversary in style. That is indeed a big deal. We're taking a break right here on Friday night, and when we return with all the day's business. Stay with us.
Business News, brought to you by Safaricom Business.
Tukitaka kugrow zaidi, we choose partners with solutions that get us there. You could also power your progress. Join Safaricom Business today. Power your progress at business.safaricom.co.ke.
Business Now and Kenyan businesses operating in Tanzania have been assured of uninterrupted operations following bilateral talks between Nairobi and Dodoma, easing fears sparked by a recent licensing order that threatened cross-border commerce. The reassurance comes after Tanzania's publication of the Business Licensing Prohibition of Business Activities for Non-Citizens, Order 2025, which was issued in July and raised concerns about potential restrictions on foreign-owned enterprises. In a statement, Kenya's Ministry of East African Community Affairs confirmed that no Kenyan business has been affected by the order and received assurances that none will be targeted in future. The ministry urged Kenyan traders in Tanzania to continue operating without fear and to engage the Kenyan High Commission if they encounter any difficulties. The development marks a diplomatic win for Kenya, which has been pushing to safeguard the interests of its citizens within the EAC framework, while underscoring the growing importance of regional dialogue. The Central Organization of Trade Unions, COTU, has declined an invitation by the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection to participate in tripartite committee formed to deliberate on a proposed redundancy plan in the sugar sector. In a strongly worded letter to the ministry, COTU Kenya Secretary General Dr. Francis Atwoli stressed that the Federation would not be part of any meeting convened to discuss the loss of jobs for Kenyans. COTU is now urging the ministry to prioritize employment creation in line with its funding mission. According to COTU, the sugar industry and the agricultural sector at large hold vast potential for job creation if properly revitalized. The union urging the ministry to lead efforts in fostering an enabling environment for workers, employers, and the government rather than presiding over job cuts. The Kenya Union of Sugar Plantation and Allied Workers had called for the absorption of all the workers in the 5 leased sugar mills, which had provided opportunities to an estimated 3,000 to 50,000 workers, failure to which they threaten industrial action. And the Kenya Tea Development Agency, KTDA, is urging to value addition to new markets, rather in a bid to stabilize tea prices and improve farmers' earnings. Speaking at the Nairobi International Trade Fair, Chairman Shege Kirundi urged farmers not to abandon the crop as it is still a major cash crop in the country. The call comes even as a farmer groups urge small-scale farmers not to uproot their tea bushes in protest over the low bonuses announced recently.
Of course, we have to keep on doing value addition. So I want to request the small-scale farmers not to abandon tea. tea still remains the most profitable crop when you compare with the rest, and it has a stable income, which helps to alleviate poverty. So for me, I wish to really congratulate the small-scale farmers for keeping that spirit, and we want to encourage them to keep on cultivating tea and also ensuring they meet the highest standard for the international markets.
There are different parameters that really gauge our prices, and I want to say this even to our farmers in the west of Rift, that it is important to really take care of the quality of your tea, and at the same time to be cognizant of the markets that we take our tea.
We'd like to encourage our farmers to come on board and not to pluck their tea, and we say that the future is bright if we are able and if we work as stakeholders and encourage farmers and women to join our organization, to join this movement so that we are solution-based.
The African Guarantee Fund and Women's World Banking have signed a strategic partnership to boost financing for women entrepreneurs across Africa. The deal aims to close a $42 billion funding gap for women-led businesses by providing credit guarantees, mentorship and technical support. The initiative will be rolled out across 44 African countries, scaling up women's participation in the continent's economy.
And now we'll have a short exchange of gifts.
So we want to share financial resources, human resources, expertise. We want to create a lot of synergy, and we do believe that there are many synergies between AGF and Women World Banking. We want to expand our network to open doors to new markets, to new customer segment, and scale our business operation. And lastly, we want to drive advocacy.
If you design for the issues that are standing in women's way, everyone can benefit from that. And that's why I think this collaboration that we're going to celebrate and memorialize today really builds on not only those synergies, but really calls on our respective strengths.
Sports now. Posta Rangers twice came from behind to hold AFC Leopards to a 2-2 draw in a Kenya Premier League match at the Dandora Stadium. Posta Rangers consolidated their top spot in the league with 7 points from 3 matches. Kelly Mandanda gave AFC Leopards the opener in the 23rd minute after a brilliant solo move. South Sudanese international Jackson Duang drew Posta Rangers level 10 minutes later for a 1-1 draw at half-time. 4 minutes into the second half, AFC Leopards took the lead once again. New signing Sam Senyonjo firing in from close range from a corner kick. 10 minutes before the end of the match, Posta Rangers paid back the favour. Eliud Lokuam scoring his 3rd goal of the season, also from a goal-mouth melee after a corner kick. Posta Rangers, who were fighting relegation last season, now lead the table on 7 points from 2 wins and a draw.
Zaidi Stephen Rimba. Pigaji ni Jackson Duang, mfungaji wa goli la Posta Rangers la pekee. Neleta nani Jackson Duang, kichwa ile nafasi.
The Kenya Defence Forces cross-country championships produced the expected fireworks as the soldiers fought for slots in the KDF team for the National Cross-Country Championships later this month in Eldoret. Duncan Waweru and Senior Private Daisila Gerono were the top performers in the 10-kilometer races, ran under the hot sun at the Ulinzi Sports Complex, Langata. Waweru from Lanet Barracks had the required finishing kick to win in 29 minutes, 25.3 seconds, ahead of teammate Lance Corporal Moses Kirimi. Charles Kakuri, representing Embakasi, finished 3rd. In the women's 10-kilometer race, Cherono from the Moi Air Base team had the gas to outsprint Senior Private Glorious Chep Kirui of MTG. Senior Private Gladys Koech finished a distant 3rd. Team ISL, led by Senior Private Sheila Chep Koskei, won the mixed relay race. Ahead of Team Moi Air Base and Team TKA, Chep Koskei used the event to polish her speed ahead of the New York Marathon next month.
Nikianza nikipewa kijiti sikuwa natarajia nitaenda mpaka nikuwe position 3, but siku give up, nilifight mpaka mwisho kufika katikati, maybe mileage ndio ilinisaidia. Nikaona I'm capable kushika wenye walikuwa mbele. So nikafight mpaka mwisho.
Nimekuwa mzuri. Nashukuru Mungu kwa nimeingia top 6. Kwa huu mwaka nimeweza kukimbia short and long distance. Na ninaona pia mwili kwa sasa ina cope up vizuri.
From a goal mouth melee after a... Right, let's take that again. New world champion in the women 800 meters, Lilian Odira continues to bask in the glory of her success in Tokyo after adding another feather to her cap at her place of work, the Kenya Prisons Service. 26-year-old Odira announced herself on the world stage when she stunned a strong field to win gold for Kenya and also set the world championships record in the 800 meters in Tokyo, Japan. The Kenya Prison Service honored her with a promotion from the rank of constable to sergeant. The short ceremony was presided over by the Commissioner General of Prisons, Patrick Arandu, at the Kenya Prisons headquarters in Nairobi.
When you left for Tokyo, you carried the hopes of this service and the flag of our nation, Kenya. Today, you return not just as officers, but as global icons. You have walked the same tracks as the world's best, and you have proven beyond any doubt that you belong up there amongst the best.
It feels so great going fighting for your country and your department and then getting the rewards. I feel so happy and I'm so grateful. This is my motivation because I'll have now to work more harder for greater things. So this is just but the start of my journey and I'm aiming to do more better. Yeah.
Long-hitting Dismas Indiza took over the leaderboard at the Nakuru leg of the Equator Tour played at the Par 73 Nakuru Golf Club. After the second round, Indiza has a two-stroke lead with a score of 7 under par 139. Indiza was not as effective in the second round as in the first round, managing only 3 birdies compared to 4 bogeys that gave him the score of 1 over par 74 for the day. Justice Madoya had a more cautious approach to play level par on the day after grabbing a birdie that was whipped out by a bogey. His score of 5 under par 141 is 2 strokes behind Indiza at the top. Veteran golfer Jacob Okello occupies the 3rd position with a score of 4 under par 142. Okello shot 1 over par in round 2 after 3 bogeys and only 2 birdies. 2 players, Daniel Nduva and Mike Kisia, are tied for 4th, while 3 players, Kennedy Abuto, John Karichu and David Waku, are tied for 6th position. The 3rd round tees off on Saturday at 8 a.m. And the national boxing team, the Hit Squad, has stepped up training ahead of the Africa Zone 3 Boxing Championships set to take place from the 16th to the 24th of October 2025 at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani Indoor Arena. Hit Squad is currently training at the Mathare Police Depot under the guidance of head coach Musa Benjamin, assisted by David Munuhe, John Waweru, John Achieng and Julius Theuri. With 2 weeks to the championship, the team is also adding training in strength and conditioning, endurance and tactical execution. Coach Musa has picked 35 boxers who had a mix of experience and upcoming youthful boxers. Captain Boniface Mugunde, Shafi Bakari, Ethan Maina, Peter Abuti, Amina Martha, Frieza Asiko and Elizabeth Andiego headline the strong team in camp.
Natumaini mtapata gold. Kulingana na venye nimetrain, niko very ready. Sitakubali hiyo gold iende na mtu wa nje, itabaki hapa kwetu na mimi ndo nitaishinda.
Kitu yenye na expect ni the best performance ku represent Kenya nchi yetu juu najua hii itakuwa a very big competition na najua ita create a lot of exposure for boxers kwa hii Kenya.
Now that's the latest on Friday night this evening. My sign language interpreter, Wilson Ochuka, and I'm Lillian Muli. I can see Aziza is already in studio. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is the energy.
Today we're ready. Today I said I'm going to come say hi.
Show us that energy.
And I'm giving you that vibe. You're 10 over 10.
How are you?
Niko poa kabisa.
What's on the show tonight?
Tonight we have a super jam-packed show lined up for you. Na badala nikwambie kenye iko kwa show, simunieke ile ngoma tumalize nayo basi.
I'm not doing it. Aziza is playing. Up next is
no, it's a very simple track. Just flex your hands like this. Let's go. Come on now. Selector Wekadoba once from the top 20. Don't you my bed. Hey, don't you my bed. Now let's go one time. Hey. We should have Lillian start the show today.
I cannot. That energy is a lot, but that's what happens on 10 over 10. Thanks for watching. Up next is Aziza. Catch her with Good Man on the show.